Hey, thanks for tuning in with us. This is Jdawg. I'm here with Van from our group GBAMS, Gaming Brethren Advocates. This is just kind of going to be an informal stream. We're just doing a little talk, a little casual talk on the table. And I'm going to try to get Master of Magic running here. It will load eventually. So, what were you talking about, Van? You were talking about social networks, right?
Yes. I feel like broader spectrum social media networks, I believe we can, as identifying them properly, have drastically deteriorated. For me
Facts.
personally, LinkedIn is a trigger, whereas it used to be a place where my students, associates, people that I worked with, people that I cared about their career and wanted to see them succeed, I would tell them, look, you're going to need a LinkedIn profile. You're going to need to set up LinkedIn. And I was happy to help them. And at the time, I do believe it was relevant. And it is still relevant to have a LinkedIn profile, as I've experienced when exploring new roles and opportunities, they often ask for your LinkedIn address. So they're going to look at your LinkedIn. But I would argue that it's not as relevant as it used to be. And it's a trigger to me because I feel like it used to be an effective tool that I would recommend to um, people that were entering their career or trying to change careers or improve their career, their professional career. Networking, for a variety of reasons, has deteriorated to largely spam, e-spam, and e-solicitation. A lot of cringy posts pretending to be educational when they're really just promoting whatever product. It seems like you had
Yeah.
mentioned you were on X earlier and you had had a similar experience with it. Used to be like I got something out of it, right? Like there's a value arbitrage, a professional value arbitrage, whereas now it's not even healthy. It's like a stressor for me to get on there and see the level of the content, how much is deteriorated to just like spam and solicitation. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah.
And is that what you're seeing on X in, your professional opinion?
Well, I mean, as a professional social poster now, for whatever that's worth, I mean, I don't have the rep that others do, but I mean, I've spent enough time doing it, so yeah, I got that. It's gone into more of a pure entertainment direction, since at the end of 2024, right? He bought it just a while before that. There's the election, a bunch of changes happen, huge news explosions and everything, but as far as I could tell, it's just moved more in an entertainment and I mean I'm gonna say I'm some of the stuff is genuinely educational on X, surprisingly enough, but for the most part we're talking about it is a lot of spam, it's a lot of self promoted stuff, and LinkedIn, I mean I have to say, I mean, I using it as a social network just to connect. I mean, and from a for on a colleague basis and like that. I mean, yeah, it serves its purpose, but it always I think you were saying before, like it always seems to be the slop posts, the promo posts, like clearly AI or clearly like whatever the current thing is, or whatever the headline game or the headline topic is. That's all that it's wall to wall of that. You don't get it anything, on a certain intellectual level or broaching any kind of academic depth. It's pretty well buried. You have to go and manually look for it, and that's a shame. That's a shame.
Right. I think that's a great point. That's a great point. That largely what we're seeing is a lot of conformist type of posts that are the same old thing, talking about whatever's already publicly hyped. a lot of the time in the gaming communities. I'm starting to really enjoy Reddit because it's such a human-based comment feedback algorithm.
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah, I'll give you that. I'll definitely give you that in that platform, that the credit there. It is almost all people. It's no strongly visible bot presence. So yeah, I mean that there's that. I think for me that, and a lot of people that are skeptical of that or not as big on the platform, is there's a lot of conformism, that's enforced by the voting system there. So you get people, but they're very opinionated people. And if you don't like, if you believe in using AI for anything, for example, you're very much booed there. You're basically booed off of Reddit, which is not constructive for discourse. If you're using it as a cudgel, then you're not using it properly as an intellectual tool, as a resource, in my opinion, anyways. So, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, yeah,
I'm not
I
accusing
do.
you of that, to be clear, but that's what happens on there. So,
No, and I'd love to get your perspective on, on Reddit. My look, there's a lot of uh there's a lot of groups on Reddit. Is that what they're called, for lack of a better term?
yeah, I
Groups,
think they do call them groups.
communities,
Yeah, basically.
communities on Reddit. Some of them are very informative, and I love the human element. And yes, they are very, I would say, hard on AI, and harsh, and rightfully so. Like,
Hmm.
so it weeds out what I would consider the AI slop that now has migrated to what used to be a professional forum, such as LinkedIn, now has become largely CEOs disguised as salespeople
Right.
promoting more AI data centers or the latest cooling technology that really nobody even understands in these really technical articles. Um, and it's just a lot of very meaningless content. Whereas, look, I'm subscribed to some academic papers where these students in college, they write academic papers, and then you can receive a free PDF, the document for free, PDF download. And some of these papers are great, you know what I mean? And they're well researched. They may have used some AI to do their research, and there's value. Like, I find value in that. I even build technologies off of some of these papers because they're so relevant, right?
Hmm.
They're
Hmm.
so, and it's such important content. And then I'm learning something in the process. Sadly, those people aren't really recognized or rewarded. You can upvote it, you can like it, you can let them know, hey, I support it, but really, I'm not going to pay for the subscription service, right? When there's a free service that I can just utilize the same information for free. I don't need to sign up for a subscription, and I don't want to get too far off. But it's just the
Yeah, yeah.
quality of content. Like, they cared about what they were putting out, versus now it's gotten to be, the more you post, the more you get picked up by an algorithm, the more relevant you are, regardless of the content or the value, right, of the
Right.
information.
Right, exactly. It becomes a production. It's a production line, and it's a conveyor belt slash production line, and like this is not conducive to intellectual, development. It's not, and in terms of knowledge spread, it's anti-knowledge. I mean, I don't know how you get around it. It's like watching endless. It's like watching infomercials interspersed with actual commercials, and that seems to be all they want to do. They wanted to turn the internet into well, they wanted to turn gaming into sports. They seem to want to turn the internet into television. Okay. So that seems to be the
But
story.
largely promotional instruments for advertising is what it seems like legacy
Mm-hmm.
business
Yep.
or the capitalist model
Yep.
wants to turn every creative, let's not say every, but creative tools into or even art into something that it was completely not designed for, and also that deteriorates the artistic and the integrity of the work, right?
Yeah.
Where again, like you
It
said,
looks like it. It looks like
you're
it.
not you're not getting much. You're just finding out the side effects of the drugs that you might prescribe if you have get
Oh.
shingles or whatever
Oh
a
man.
vaccine from a vaccine for shingles. It's like sadly, I have a few subscriptions, and there are commercials that come in, and I'm amazed at like just it's big pharma and insurance, and the quality of the commercials aren't even entertaining. Like I remember back
Mm-hmm.
in the day when uh, 80s, 90s, some of the commercials were like funny. Like you didn't mind seeing the commercial, or you even enjoyed the commercial. I can
Sure.
think of there was a Miller Lite commercial, right? Where what did the Miller or the Bud Light guys, and they were always saying something, and it became a cultural saying just from that, Miller Lite, Bud Light commercial. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so,
Yeah,
whereas,
yeah, they're culturally relevant, and they become, artifacts in and of themselves, right? This is when this commercial released, and it was memorable for this reason, and it genuinely touched people because it was fun, interesting, irreverent, whatever it was. It was something different, and a lot of the joy from commercials and TV, it's really gone. It's gone. This is kind of. I think you were leading in that direction. I mean, this is my experience with it. So,
well, it
would
seems
would you
like
say would you say
artistic.
that's it?
Well, yeah, I think that's a great point to talk about. I mean, I think that it's deteriorating, and we could draw parallels to CGI or other technologies that in the past, um, for example, like when the 808 drum machine came out, people were like, "Well, that's not real music if you use an 808 drum machine." When people were spinning records for the first time, when Mix Master, Funk Master Flex was spinning records, they were like, "That's not real music." But then out of these, or if you were using GarageBand, that's not real music recording. Yet out of all of these tools, it proved that they actually could be used for legacy for and for what would be the word, for an improved version of the legacy options, right? Like they're like, no, you should have a real drummer in a band. If you have a synthesizer, that's not real music. I see parallels today with, like you were saying, well, Reddit's pretty hard on AI if you use AI content. Well, I understand their frustration and aggravation because the artistic creativity and quality has deteriorated so much. There's no story. It's become lean instead of use it as a tool, it's become lean on it as a crutch. And
Right.
I mean,
You have a
it's
vacuous spectacle that they try to put these really they're bland stories. They're bland and outlandish, right? Like those are two things I could say about a lot of television content.
well, and it's like, okay, how much blood and gore, and like it's just to the max. Like let's add more. Okay, that's not enough. Let's add more blood. Let's add more action. Let's add more shooting. Let's add more
Yeah.
kicks in the face.
Right. Right.
More. no, there weren't enough aliens, more aliens, rather than focusing on artistic quality and trying to tell a story and maybe even convey a message of importance, which I think is what we're missing. Right? Is there's a connection to those art pieces, those commercials that you connect with the story, the movie, whatever it is, the game that draws you in, and there's that really connection. Well, that's like real, that's art. That is the purpose of art, for you to have evoke an emotion, and that emotion not necessarily just to always be cringe. Right now, I understand there is a shock, like some art is for shock value,
Mm.
and
Mhm.
I can appreciate that. But I feel like, again, um, the corporate the corporations
Ooh,
legacy has
corporations,
kind of
corpos, yeah.
there's just kind of, and it's look, I'm not going to argue about a capitalist society. Capitalism is, that's how it works. They want to make money. They do that by cutting away where they think that they can to make more money, regardless of sacrifice of the product, because they don't
Yeah.
care about the product. They care about the returns on the product. They're at least, I mean, that's my sad take on, capitalism and economics
So
101,
you
and
so
it's
you've encountered it
ultimate.
before.
It's systemic.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not just in any one industry. It's pretty much all. If you're a global corporation, you're going to be playing by basically the capitalist rule book, so to speak, which is to make money.
Right,
And
right,
there's
right.
nothing wrong with that,
Right, right.
but at what sacrifice, right? Like,
Well, yeah, yeah.
it,
It's gotta. It's.
money's
Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, money's great, but we should put out something like my grandfather said, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. I don't believe in building a piece of crap and then just putting it out. Like, there are things I put out into the world to beta test, right? Or to get field results from other professionals, but I don't generally, and even that's going to be a pretty refined polishment, just because I hold myself to a certain level of excellence. Um, I feel like,
Good. Yeah,
because I care.
I agree.
I care about what I put out. Regardless of my audience, the popularity doesn't matter to me, right? I'm going to be true and authentic to the message, the path, and the message that I'm trying to communicate to the best of my ability with my God-given talents, right? And we've lost a lot of that, I think. Like uh, just the hand drawn aspect of it, right?
Hmm.
If you look at hand drawn 2D animation, hand drawn cartoons, hand drawn video games, even hand drawn artwork, there's more of a connection there, right? To looking at a piece that was drawn by hand. There just is.
Hmm.
Look, maybe
Hmm.
that's just me.
No, no, no. I'm
What
with
do
you
you think?
on the animation thing. I think we should. I want to circle back on the socials overall, but I mean, yeah, that's a crucial point, and that's one of our tenets as a group. Like, we connect over 2D animation, among other things. It has a certain humanity, a certain touch, a certain look to it. Um, the shading in and shading is crucial in any visual art. In animation, I find the shading that's done by human hand is it's so much more appealing. I don't know if I'm going to say it's more realistic, but I feel it is, because the way that the human mind perceives shade and through our optic system, and then the way we would choose to render it, I feel is just, it's more natural to us versus anything that comes out of a CGI engine or AI. Although I have to say AI has uncanniness that CGI engines, I don't think, ever attained, because they're going off formulas and algos are going off of such a vast reference library. It comes closer. So I feel those might get nearer to it, but it's not altogether the point. I do feel that the human process of drawing it is intrinsically more valuable in the way that the art is made and perceived. It's just something more natural about it. So I do like that, and that's one kind
Well,
of one of our points.
for example, there's a young man I follow on YouTube. He follows my engineering channel. His drawing, his channel is basically hand drawing, right? High school. Turns out he's a high school kid. I didn't know that at the time. Um, but I just try to be encouraging, right? And honestly, I enjoy seeing his content, right? Like I enjoy seeing the progression of him getting better as an artist and also not having confidence, or it seems like having the youth, the what would it be, the questioning
Naive.
yourself as a young creator, yet putting it out.
Okay.
And I don't know, as a fellow artist and as a father and as a human, I always love to encourage other creators, and try to give them honest, positive feedback about. And it's just like there's a his drawing is nothing special. It's not a complete cartoon. It's not he's not making a series. It's not a comic book. It's not even a story. It's just hand drawings of eyes, hand drawings of characters. But there's still an human connection. There's an emotional connection. Whereas if an AI, right, which is pulling in all this data and can draw whatever, creates that, there's really no connection for me. I'm not dissing AI art, but I think that it lacks the human authenticity that is the meaning of art, that is why art appeals to people,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um for the most part. So just
Yeah.
but so yes, we can get back to LinkedIn and X and the um quality of the content there. I mean, I feel like they've become extensions of Facebook and Instagram, where largely it's a lot of attention extraction
Mm-hmm.
and rage baiting, with the same type of I spend less time on X, so I wouldn't know, but
You're
still
better.
with a
You're
lot
better
of
off. You're better off.
promotional and a lot of maybe you have to watch out for a little more scam action on X. I know at least back in the NFT and my crypto trading days, there's a lot of crypto information going on in X, and X was kind of the preferred uh, arena, right, at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And um, now I'm very skeptical about information that I see on X, and I'm very careful about vetting it. I'd be very cautious about proceeding with information from X. Not saying that, hey, that there's not articles on there that are great, that are about heat for hashing or sustainability or empowerment or whatever. But I would say that it's become the just like LinkedIn, it's more of the rarity than the majority, right? The majority of the content seems to be a lot of. What do you think about is how much of this is AI generated, and how many of these um, big influencers are really just running marketing scams where they have other people or bots liking their material and reposting their material as well? Because it seems like that could be
Oh,
influencing a
that's
lot
it's
of.
totally. It totally is. Having researched it, and frankly, a lot of the big creators have already come out and said it. I mean, all but saying, yeah, I bought. Some of them have actually have. Um, it's like you don't get a foothold unless you're paying for placement. Just as much as you would expect in a newspaper or in a TV spot. They absolutely are paying for placement. I mean, I won't look. Part of part of my gripe, and it does amount to a gripe, but it's more of just kind of a I'm kind of peeved about the thing is like we what we're trying to do is public interest as a group, and X definitely has not been. There's definitely no the elements of fair play are not really there. They pretty much expect not for profits to compete in the same. In absolutely the same way with a boosted commercial content and actual like very sensational like tabloid tier stuff that you're gonna expect is gonna get a lot of rubbernecking, a lot of eyeballs. But you're competing with that, and plus on the back end of whatever is the natural instinct or inclination of people to click on engage with certain content. Then it comes down to like then it comes down to exactly that. Is like, yeah, they are boosting it. They're paying for placement with in-platform. They're botting on the back end. It's pretty impossible to compete with that. I mean, there's got to be an antitrust element to that. Although that's more of just a market maintenance. Like that's really a market maintenance issue. But I don't see. It's too new a technology, and it's too. A lot of this is too integrated to where I don't think there's good enforceability. Let's say that enforceability was to be looked, or enforcement actions were to be looked at. There's no clean angle, right? There's no clean approach to address it, and that's messed up. It's just messed up. There's not really much more that could be said.
I mean, that's a problem. What I'm hearing is it sounds like LinkedIn has become pay to play.
Well,
But
I'm
this
referring to X principally. This is my observations.
sorry. No, I meant to say X.
Yeah,
Seems like X
and video platforms
is,
like
has largely become pay to play. But I would draw that parallel equivalent on LinkedIn because that
oh
is
yeah.
what I've seen. I've seen less of my people that I follow because I want to read their content, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I follow them and I connected with them because I liked their content, what they said, what they were about. We networked, we worked on a project together, whatever it might be. And now it is all promoted posts. And generally those are AI. We've already, kind of discussed. It's they're going to talk about the hype, whatever is in the mainstream media hype cycle at
Yep.
the time.
Yep.
SpaceX IPO, the new AI hack, the new AI model coming out. Now it's lately. Now it's like they're talking about Kimmy, the Chinese DeepSeek
Yeah.
model. And it's funny because it's like I've been using Kimmy for over a year and a half. I'm like, y'all are just now gonna like this might disrupt like this DeepSeek. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it works great. I mean, they're like, should we even be allowed to use Chinese model? Should we be able to use Chinese models? And
Right.
where they're having interviews with the Wang from NVIDIA. And I love a good interview with Wang from NVIDIA because
Mm-hmm.
he always contradicts himself in every one of his interviews. And every one of his interviews, it's always good for a laugh. But I would say that you said something paying for placement,
Mm-hmm.
and the old school term would be pay to play. But
Well,
literally
yeah.
now we're living in this digital world of paying for placement. You pay for placement. And these
Right.
influencers, really, how much community influence do they have? And how much influence was just bought and purchased? How much of that is debt? How much of that is fabricated? How much of their results are really unbiased? How much of
Oh,
their systems
yeah.
work?
Virtually nothing
Um,
now that I could tell. I'm not saying any one platform. I'm not saying any one platform. I'm saying basically every social has its issues in that regard. Some are a lot worse. Pay for placement comes from print. Okay, that's from print magazines and all that, and also for any ad spot, and also from TV. And yeah, that's buying your spot. But then pay to play is from traditionally from radio, right? So that's a term of art. It used to be DJs, which were completely taken out of the loop in the Telecommunications Act of like 95, 96, I might add, for foreshadowing major consolidation. So there's a lot involved there, but DJs before that, there was a little bit of local potential for corruption there, if you want to look at it that way, and a lot of people would see it that way, where somebody, you know, bribes the DJ to put their whatever their song on is on the radio. But if it catches on out of the blue, right, then it would get picked up elsewhere, and other stations might take it on, and so there was an organic discovery potential in those days. So I mean, as bad as that was, it was not totally top down. It's not totally top down, and now we kind of have the worst of both worlds, where we have massive consolidation, and everything begins with the assumption almost of paid placement or being put behind paid placement. And then after that, you have pay to play, where really to get an enhanced, to get an accelerator effect, you're going to have to bot so that the algorithm will put organic views in with the bot views. And that's happening all over. It's happening all over, and I wouldn't be surprised if LinkedIn has elements of that. It's certainly there's some posts don't seem to be very organically viral. I don't understand it myself. So
Well, I mean, I've personally experienced there seems to be a lot more financial gatekeeping where they're trying to upsell you. Like, for example, I get a lot of solicitations for consulting, right? However, they won't reveal the contact information unless you upgrade to a LinkedIn, whatever, pro
mm-hmm.
subscription. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not paying for a LinkedIn subscription. If they want to consult with me, my information is available. It's not that hard for them to Google search me or to search my LinkedIn contact information and see, oh, here, I can email him here, I can call him here. There's a variety of ways to reach out to me, and it's funny to see, and so much of that is automated, right? So much of that, I don't even believe that it's real, to tell you the truth. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like this is, again, like you said, it's kind of paying for placement. I'm making an assumption, but it seems to be in line with what we're seeing on other platforms. Um, we can talk about YouTube a little bit. You mentioned video because I would say the same thing on video. Largely, I'm not seeing the people that I used to see, that I follow, that I've subscribed to, that I want to see their content. Instead, I'm seeing new content that it looks like people have paid to promote that content.
Mm-hmm.
Or, and I think this is more of the exception to the rule, it's organically taken off and gotten viral because it was authentic content. They put it out there and it was just cool, fascinating, intriguing, whatever, and it trended, right? So then
Sure.
it's trending. However, it seems like even now, whatever is going on with the algorithm doesn't mean that that's viral success. Maybe they are
Oh
throttling
shit.
back on the natural organic element of these posts being posts, uh, articles being able to go viral. It seems like, because I've seen content that you're like, this should have 1 million views.
Mm-hmm.
This should have 100,000 likes, right? There's people there's 500 or 1,000 comments, right? So there's a lot of people literally, willing to take their time to put their feedback out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yet they don't have the numbers, and to me that just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. And
No.
again, it seems to kind of align with what we've seen on other platforms. Um, I, I don't know if you want to steer the conversation somewhere else.
I mean, you're right. You're right about that. I mean, that's like to really properly review it. We could actually there's a discussion potential there with where we could get into data on it, but it's a real thing. It's not your imagination. It's not any of our imagination that like there's a lot of inauthentic content online, and not just like information wise in its like authenticity of accuracy. It's also obviously just it's slop. Right? You get AI slop, and you get things that are of marginal interest or very poppy interest, but low information content pushed to the front. And so, yeah, I can say that that's a real thing, and platform manipulation of information, headlines, and all that. It's very real. It's very real. Now, the scale of it, the degree of it, and the selections made, um, and who's responsible, what and where, to what degree. That's more difficult to ascertain. But um, I'm losing
Well,
my.
it's speculative. I don't know how the market is being manipulated so that certain algorithms are winning, or certain videos or posts seem to be getting more traction than others. But that's just the nature of it. It seems to be less organic because there used to be a more organic element of virility, um, where that gold mine information or that nugget of information falls into your stream, right? And it was
Mm-hmm.
just absolutely kind of um, the universe putting that content out there.
Right.
Whereas, yeah, it seems like there's less and less of that creative, really thoughtful content getting out, which begs to the question. You said AI slop, right? Well,
Mm-hmm.
what is AI slop? If someone had to prompt it and someone had to publish it,
Yeah.
then are they owning their material and their content? I mean, so then does it become human slop? And is that where we are? That we've gone from, we were trying to produce these really great data based analyses to the best of our ability, objectively based on facts and expertise and experience and whatever KPIs. And instead, now it's just like, put out whatever you want. And if you're paying for it, it's going to get more likes and shared more often, which
Yeah.
is like, what? Do we just need an entire new internet? Do we design a new? Do I just prompt a new internet? Right? Like, hey, let me. No AI, no slop allowed, no slop. And then how do you regulate that? Right? Would you do an AI free internet, or would you have to judge the content by using some type of analysis, like slop free internet? Or disclaimer, you have to put a disclaimer if your information is sloppy.
Yeah. 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 Well, the AI disclaimers make sense. I mean, that makes sense. Um. Yeah. The rest of the stuff is.
What about for you? But what about for humans, Jdawg? Like, hey, that's great. AI, OpenAI, Anthropic, they can write it off by saying, "Hey, AI can make a mistake." But
Mm-hmm.
when we're using AI for significant, like, we're talking about Palantir, Amazon, Google, companies that are, now infrastructure, large scale infrastructure companies where everything is embedding a layer of AI orchestration into it. Um, it seems it seems in it seems like we're introducing more points of failure. But again, that's just how the market works. There's AI hype. People are like, hey, you need AI for your business to succeed. So they're gonna get some AI, they're gonna, incorporate AI into their business, and later they figure out, oh, this didn't really make us money, or now it's causing us problems, and we have to figure out what the problem is. I'm not anti AI, but there are some real problems with artificial intelligence, especially if you don't kind of understand the tool itself. What do you think about,
What do I think?
suppose, what do you think about that? Yeah,
What about? I mean, the upside of AI, basically. I think
sure.
it's.
I mean,
I mean, I think it's. I think it has a great assistive potential. You know. It's. It's more. It's more of It's more of a hazard than a harm, in my view. Okay. So, like, a lot of people do it, and defining slop is it's totally subjective. I mean, if okay, let me give you this one. You familiar with so-called skibbity toilet? I mean, have you seen that stuff?
Talk to me about Skibbity Toilet.
Oh
I had a
man.
daughter, and I have a ex girlfriend that's an educator, so I'm familiar a little bit with the Skibbity Toilet. That it was a terminology, and that it
Yeah.
meant something in kid culture, gaming
Yeah.
culture. But I
Yeah.
really don't understand the
No one
overarching.
understands it,
I know it was.
man. There's nothing
It's
to
a negative.
understand. I'll just
There's
tell
like a
you.
negative connotation to
Yeah,
it, right?
yeah, yeah. It has a negative. It has. If you're a fan of it, it's not a good look. But I mean, you know what it is? It's more or less look. It's serial, um, extremely like postmodern. Um, I really like absurdist, cyberpunk absurdist stuff, which there is an artistry there. Don't get me wrong, it's a single solo artist. He does it all. The work is all manual himself. This is before AI really got big, right? So it's all like CGI work he's doing. Very recent, but that's still his home brew. It's still his manual gen. I'm restarting the game, by the way. That was not a good start off, so I'm gonna go for a different one here. Um, yeah, Skibidi Toilet is basically heads in toilets that fly around and like spout gibberish and like do absurd things, projectile vomit, explode, attack people, whatever. And they are kind of cast as the victims in that of like mechs, like basically Terminator type mech, more like Terminator 2, like the shape changing, right? All these different transformer mechs. And so the mechs
Love
can
it. Love it.
yeah, the mechs constantly attack them, and the toilets are kind of fighting this war back, and it's looking for a deeper message. I think is wrong in that. I don't, especially given the serial nature of it. But there is some kind of message there for sure. I think I'm gonna go barbarian. It's hard to lose as barbarian.
So was it more of a game? Was it a game?
No,
Because I
no, no,
want to
no,
say
no.
that's
It's not a game. It's
it's
a YouTube
it's more of
series.
an art. It's more of a YouTube artistic We're talking about really an artistic concept to an extent, but there is a slight modern day twist of like
No, no,
four.
no.
It's almost like
It's not
a
slight.
modern day 4chan.
It's not subtle. There's nothing 4chan. 4chan is informative. Some people would say disinformative, misinformative. Some people would say very informative. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna say one way or the other. 4chan is it really these days. It's the era. The 4chan era is past, regardless. But no. It's no. There's no dialogue. There's no dialogue, right? It's all like they're speaking in tongues or nonsense, and machine noises and yells and shouts and explosions. It's basically, this is where the term slop almost originated, was you had like preschoolers sitting there just glued to the spectacle of the toilets, the heads in toilets being attacked by, and vice versa, these morphing machines. And like there was no lesson to learn, there's no value to be had. It's just endless, extremely base spectacle. And you're speaking about the blood spatter and all of that. And see, I'm not against, as the Family Guy entry says, sex and violence on TV and all that, in certain measure, in entertainment or games, in certain measure, or if you're looking for that genre, whatever, that has its place. But something like that, even though it actually was like PG rated, um, doesn't have any redeeming value in terms of either. Most artists would say that's nothing. And I mean, maybe on some technical level, or maybe on some like pure spectacle level, but
But I mean, culturally, it is art, right? Like
oh, it's deeply impactful.
it's crude.
Unfortunately,
It's
everyone knows about
crude.
it.
it's
Right.
crude, like
Right.
it's National Lampoons. It's offensive. It's offensive, but like, and that's what I meant by 4chan. I meant like 4chan to me was like the underground meme scene of, dude, we're crude, we're crass. Like, expect anything. Expect anything. Yes, you might get some knowledge. You might get nothing out of it.
Sure.
Nothing out
Well,
of it.
you're
Kind of.
thinking of old school 4chan here. If this is
Yes.
really what you're
Yes.
referring
Old
to,
school.
yeah,
Yes.
it
Very
hasn't been
much.
that for
Very
some
much.
time, for some time. But you're not wrong. That's how it used to be. Sure. They kept it
So
real, even if it was bawdy or naughty or bad, whatever. It was real people, authentic things being said.
So how do you feel about Skibbity Toilet? I mean,
Yeah, there's no comparison. You want me to pull it up? You want me to show you some? Uh,
my question is, how do you feel about it? Do you feel
oh,
that it's necessary? Do you feel that it should be taken down? Do you feel,
um,
I mean, what is the like? How does it
well,
affect you? Um,
yeah, that's a good question. That's actually a really good question because it kind of is a case in point. Like, social platforms are kind of degrees, shades of Skibbity Toilet all themselves now. Okay, that's kind of actually a relevant paradigm, and how you compete with
I
just
love that.
thank you. Yeah, how you compete with just like substance-free raw spectacle and people's innate tendency to be drawn to that. I don't have any firm answers on that. I mean, traditionally and typically, there's broadcast standards and then regulation that was handed that was flowed from that. I'm not as big a fan of that. I'm not like some kind of champion of that as a first look. It has its problems. The free market has its problems. Capitalism has its problems. Having a heavy-handed, overarching regulatory approach can be very stifling as well. Um, but it's at some point, yeah, you do have to wonder, like you ought to wonder if skibbity social media and everything, because it's replacing traditional media, even as traditional media is being shoehorned in. Like literally, Britain is trying to force the BBC and other things to get carried by YouTube, right, as a first placement. Okay, and then I mean, I assume that there is probably some similar activity, although not from a regulatory side in the U.S., just based on who is up where, and the kind of placement you see in the platforms, right? Whether it's privately funded or whatever, there's definitely strings being pulled to put certain content at the fore, and it's my issue is this. It's teleological, right? It's not necessarily the content itself, right? People make their choices, can choose what they engage with, and I'm supportive of that. Fundamentally, also, that's what free art is about. You want people to have the ability to express themselves creatively, make something novel, interesting, new, different, and spread it and share it. Um, it's more the big picture. In the long term, if we're seeing an overabundance and an overweening public tendency of the public to look at the lowest tier, least informative, and I mean that's by any objective standard. I'm not saying take the Reddit standard. I'm not saying take the old school 4chan standard, okay, which may or may not have a bit of opposition between them as perspectives. I'm saying just on qualitative merits, if you take anyone with any kind of decent education, or intellectual aptitude or creative taste, and you get enough of them together, like, is this objectively good? Is it worthwhile? I think there should be some kind of attention paid. Wow, that was interesting. It's a bad loss
What?
too. Um, yeah. Speaking of attention,
who,
attention
who,
paid. I just sent a
who,
set. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. Finish what you were going to
Oh,
say.
I
Sorry
just
to
sent a
interrupt.
settler out, which has very high hit points against some phantom warriors in a lair, and and it was a draw, which I do believe means I won because now I could walk a unit over and take the lair. But the settler is way more valuable at turn two. So as a little bit of a, I should have probably fought that one manually. Anyway, yeah, I think we, I think if okay, I'll put it this way: if informal if formal regulatory and law and market processes are not handling it to secure kind of social interest, society's long term maintenance, if not betterment, if not better than that, then some community standards. I don't know when I there's a lot of astroturf. There's a lot of greenwash in that direction, and I don't want to get like a mothers against drunk driving vibe going here because like we come to video games not to really deal in that kind of space necessarily. But there should be informally, right? Culturally, there should be people that are willing, more on a local level, not as necessarily decision makers that are rubber stamps, or not, banning things. But we should take a little more responsibility locally and as appreciators of art and the various mediums it's expressed in. I think we should take that responsibility ourselves to deal with it, and to promote the good works that are good and interesting and unique, and push back against the slop and the promotional stuff that just doesn't do it for us personally, but also, I mean, again, based on certain aptitudes and interests, does it really, would it speak or should it speak to a larger audience on like what are the what are the merits of it? And it is possible to have. There's a term in economics and labor theory where it's a race to the bottom, right? You've probably heard the same one as a term of art, and I'm afraid the same thing can happen artistically, and frankly has been incentivized more or less based on trends of so many years now. I don't want to see a creative race to the bottom any worse than it has been based on major media consolidation and regulatory laxitude and cultural, some people would say malaise, but, cultural indifference. Okay. I'm not against sensational stuff. This is more of a personal standard. And I think a lot of people in the market have said, like, certain types of things that are very, they're risque, maybe a little sexy, sensational stuff, blood and guts, gore, explosions. That all has spots in people's interests and aptitudes, their appetites, but not necessarily to the exclusion of actual content of quality writing, character development, real stories, and vice versa, where it's all story and usually really basic, like politically couched messaging in the stories these days. And maybe you get some spectacles. You got a little lens flare and blood and guts, but really that's all there is to it, right? There's no real soul to it. There's no nothing. It doesn't gel, right? It doesn't go together, and essentially it's a skibbity streaming show. Okay, for just attach that phrasing to it, that characterization. How is that benefiting anyone in the long term? How is that going to be, is that likely to be remembered, right? And should it be, other than, oh yeah, we watched that slop? I mean, I'm afraid that the things we had in common that media at one time allowed us to connect over are becoming more dismal. And that's concerning. Without trying to go to boomer core, it's just concerning. And
And when you say concerning, you mean the thing, such as ga- games, such as movies, such as books, such as
across the
um,
board, across the board, really.
television.
Yeah, across the board, really. Yeah, it's rather sad. I mean, with the exception of early 2000s stuff, there are And it may be a bit of a, sure, it's a little bit of a millennial thing, it's a generational thing to a degree, but I don't think it's that big a degree. I mean, you can look at any movies made mid-century on 20th century, and they had certain professionalism in them. The acting quality was good. Certainly, like the voice quality. What kills me in anything like from the '90s on or '80s on is like the miking is terrible. They don't care about whether you can hear the actor or not, and that's why everyone everywhere has to turn subtitles on, and the shows are virtually worthless without them. You know what I mean on that point.
I do. And I would say to your point before, you said it's really everything. When you said that, I immediately started thinking of music and
Mm-hmm.
how music has become overproduced,
Mm-hmm.
where even movies theater has become overproduced, where it's so production or post production based that it's lost any soul, and it's across the artistic spectrum: movies, games, theater, books, and it's really a skibbity social type of uh, culture that we're in at the moment,
Skibbity
where
culture.
you asked like, how will this be remembered and what importance does it have in the future? And sadly, like very, I don't feel like there's any, like,
Mm-hmm.
who's gonna really remember it? I don't think it will be largely remembered. It may be documented on Wikipedia, but it's not going to be something that will stick around. There will be something new that is more culturally relevant, that is more of an inside joke, that is more funny, that has displaced it because it didn't have. And hopefully by something with a little more authenticity and perhaps meaning behind the content, um, because
Yeah.
yeah, we're just seeing this low quality content in every arena, where it's uh, like you said, they don't care about the sound. They don't care about the. It's just almost like a mishmash, right? They're like,
Mm-hmm.
just throw some CGI in there, like. And I agree with you. Look, just because I am not a blood and guts horror movie guy, I love westerns. I'm not asking everyone to watch westerns, like, right? Like, everyone has their own personal taste and they're entitled to it. My daughter loves horror. Many people I hang out with are big horror fans.
Mm-hmm.
I love a good horror thriller, but I hate it whenever, again, it becomes just a bloodbath of gore, and which I guess is even a genre now.
Yeah.
Gore
Well,
is a
Not a
genre.
Friday the 13th fan.
No, Friday the 13th was great
Oh, okay.
because
Okay.
it was because there was there's like a story behind it, and
Mm-hmm.
it's almost even anxiety driven, and it was a cultural, um, generally promoted around Halloween.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. A
there
cultural
was there
touchstone.
was a
Yeah.
even that, right, has way more artistic staying power than the skibbity content of today, right?
Oh yeah.
Um, that's a perfect example of, yes, like, I don't consider that overly gory, overly bloody, or unwatchable, because it was well made.
Okay.
In horror, that's a masterpiece, right?
Yes. Yes.
Especially
It really is.
when you're talking about that era of filmmaking. What I would say is, it sounds like there's like a lack of masterpieces. Like, there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of skibbity slop out there, and there's few um
Yeah.
moving pieces of art.
Yep. That's how many feel about it in gaming specifically. The zeitgeist is like AAA is. There are those who believe otherwise, who see it otherwise, and I respect there are certain also very select cases, right? Select examples that really There's really good stuff. Like I think Valorant has some really strong arguments in favor of that. That's a pretty cool game. That's just a personal view on that. League of Legends, I think it was a little better before, but like a lot of the AAA, and those are also mobile, right? Those are not strictly in the tier I'm referring to, but among so-called AAA, your Veil Guards, your stuff, anything in that area, it's like it doesn't it's formulaic. It's formulaic and it's uninspired, and it's a lot of it. People have issues with it being preachy, which I actually I strongly agree with. It's like it's heavily couched in themes and messaging, without the creative and the emotional gravitas to make it anything, and like so it takes you out of it, and for a game that's bad. I mean, especially if it's a single play game like this game. This Master of Magic, it's a single solo play strategy game. Many people have wanted to make it multiplayer. I think one of the mods they've worked that in somehow. Not this version of it, but like it has to be able to capture and retain your interest, on its own. And the attention economy is a whole larger issue. Right now we have second screens and phones that are competing. It's not like, it's not like when closer to our time growing up where we're really looking at a single screen. It's just like, and the phone is a phone on the wall, or it's a phone that's just a phone. So there's competition different ways now. But
Well, and the live stream is the perfect example. You are playing a game while we are having a conversation. You
right.
might could say that this is a stream. So there,
Yeah.
your attention is still divided between screens. You're able to
Right.
game because it's a second nature to you. It seems
Right.
like it's something that probably comes
If I
pretty
wasn't a gamer
natural
to
to
begin
people.
with, I wouldn't be trying to do strat on the side of Convo. And I'm not winning big, by the way, but I am playing it. I am playing it. So I'm not losing. I did lose before, but my build up was not good on that. So I know where I went wrong with that. Also,
So
oh, go
I have a
ahead.
question for you. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
What do you mean by triple A game? For those of us that
All right.
maybe aren't up on current gamer lingo, what exactly do you mean by triple A? When you say
Well,
triple A, I think, okay, a triple A game, that's like a blue chip stock. They must
yeah,
be one of
that's why
the
they use
top.
that term. I think it originated from the investment side, honestly, because they were looking for something that could be a money sink in order to attract market interest, and then it got turned around and promoted by the press. This is my take on it. It was washed through the gaming media, which is of course completely disinterested and not bought, and not complete toadies for the large conglomerate game companies. That's sarcasm, intense sarcasm right there. They went ahead and they washed the term so that like it's like it was never used to. Old OG gamers don't really call it AAA. We call it that because it's a handle that has been given to us by the press, but it's mostly more of a like a late millennial and Gen Z term. And they pushed it out because that's what it was supposed to represent. It was supposed to represent the highest quality production standard and investment value and potential return and all that, So we'll call it AAA, and that's this tier of game it is. Why not call it S tier, which is essentially it's different chart, same thing, and so which is above A, so it's same thing. For a while, AAA was that. Okay, I mean, I think you typify it by like a World of Warcraft. Essentially, that set a bar where that's AAA. Okay, or like
So
or
so I was going to ask, what would be some AAA games, for example? World of Warcraft would be one. Would you give me
well,
a few more
it's
examples?
come down a bit. I mean, no less a figure than Asmongold has been like, this isn't the same game anymore. This isn't for me, and independent of whether you think he's the most credible or you like him or not or anything like that, Um, he certainly has his points, and that's definitely, that's one of them. So yeah, it's not the same game. That's the other part of it. We're not dealing with and this is actually there's so many dimensions to this. It's so good talking with you about it because you're an OG gamer like me, but you may not you're studying you're in engineering, so like you're studying different things on a day-to-day basis. My focus on this is I'm seeing just to put it this way, what I see in this is it basically it's the pink slimification of gaming. Okay, and anyone that's seen so many years ago, Super Size Me, okay, knows exactly what that is, right? You're not really getting bits of individual birds here, okay? You're getting something else, okay? Speaking of guts, you're getting a slurry, and this is what it's become. Instead of a product where you have you have a discrete boundary of where the developed product ends and you publish and you press send in the developer sense. Instead, we've got this ongoing stream of I'm not gonna call a name and attach it to what I'm about to say, because with the possible exception of Stellaris, I think I'm going to do that for Stellaris. A stream of effluent, which for those unfamiliar with the term, is it's sewage waste. Okay, that's my personal view of it. Okay,
Stellaris is sewage waste.
Stellaris. I like it. No, it's actually Stellaris. Stellaris, but it could very well be Stellardus, because if you ever delve into what goes into sewage, well, sometimes for whatever reason people flush lard, and there it goes along with everything else you would expect to be in sewage. And not to knock every creative and every developer and everyone who's contributed, because it has some real strong merits in the background. As I can't call it a product, I can't call it a game. It's an ongoing stream of it's more closer to vaporware. It's analogous to vaporware. I'm not claiming it's vaporware, but based on how it was promoted, it's damn close to vaporware, if not actually vaporware. And yeah, it's not a definitive article of any kind, and this is really it. They don't put out products anymore. They put out services that have a certain theme, certain running narrative, certain common elements. But what they're really after, the big companies in this AAA tier, what you might call, is the subscription. They want your continued indulgence, and they want the participation in the attention economy. Okay, and the more, frankly, if I'm not overstating it, because I might be here, the more oversaturated with buy-in they get in the attention economy, you can almost count proportionally, certainly over any length of time, that it's going to just be a total, and this may be a facet of human nature. Okay, I'm not necessarily putting it all on corpos and the organized nature of it, but the precipitous decline in quality is almost guaranteed. It's like we see it time and time again. They lose focus. It starts to become fluff. It's like GPTs. It's like you talk to an LLM. After so many rounds, they completely lose their shit. The hallucinations just increase proportionally and off the scale to the point you got to start a new session. They're not going to be able to hold it together. And that's a machine. When it comes to the attention economy, which is very much a machined thing in terms of how it's intermediated, right? Like, I mean, it is a bit of a meta thing, right? We're looking at each other on a screen.
The psychology. They've extracted the psychology from gambling-based algorithms,
Yes.
and gaming-based algorithms, where they have the attention extraction arbitrage down to a science. And if you don't know that going in, then you're just bouncing around in the casino of skibbity social posts,
Skibbity
right?
slop. Just skibbity
Of
slop across the board.
skibbity slot across the board. Um, Whereas if you have some awareness, then it's just irritating.
Oh, yeah. I mean, irritating. Yeah, exactly. Some awareness is irritating. If you have more than that, it could be a little more than that too.
Well, it's problem. I mean, we can. I feel like it's problematic, and it's like who's studying it to understand really how problematic it is.
Hmm.
Well, I feel like these um, items all have their hype cycles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
NFTs, crypto, Bitcoin, AI, the dot-com bubble,
Hmm.
even skateboarding, right? Like when I was growing up, skateboarding was like, I remember I got my first skateboarding. Skateboarding was like the thing. They were building skate parks left and right. It was being promoted. It was huge. A
Yeah.
few years a few years later, they were tearing those skate parks out.
Mm-hmm.
Skateboarders were not making any money in their sponsorships. Skate teams and companies were going out of business.
Yep.
Only a handful survived, and then look at it now. Like now we have X Games, we have the whole reinvention and kind of the integration of, my gosh, these what became a sports drink, skateboarding sponsor, then sponsoring multiple team sports, has grown into an empire. And now, I don't know, I've always thought in that gaming, skateboarding culture, cyber culture, hacker culture, like they kind of have their finger on the pulse of the future a lot more so than um, your average normie, right?
Yeah.
Who's just kind of
That's fair
riding
to
the
say. I'd say that's pretty fair to say. Go
because
on.
we see those trends come back where those things become popular. Skateboarding became popular again. Gaming becomes, then you get the next level of gamings when gaming went from 2D to 3D, right? And when you went to first person point of view, and then multi gaming through the internet. It's like all of these cycles where we call them market corrections, where there's a winter in between. Like while it's being adopted, uh, you might not see the market might not see an uptick, or it might not reflect in the community and the market until years later. Like you might not see the effects. Does that make sense? What I'm saying? Am I being
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
too
no.
vague?
This is exactly what you're describing. Is the market cycle, and to some extent boom bust underneath it. But I mean, there's things that rise with larger economic booms and some which decline with them. So in gaming, like it's held strong through a couple different dips. '08 happened where there was the housing thing in the North America, U.S., and there's huge issues there. But gaming kind of kept going. I mean, there was a dip around there. It followed a couple years later, really. But gaming has been it's a pretty durable market. It's entertainment. It's typically not hugely pricey. At least it wasn't. Um, unit sales was the standard over the subscription model, which they're trying to introduce and push and enforce on people, or just force. Enforce is license side, but just push on people now, whether it suits the product and art or not. And gaming is held pretty strong. It's a very people have a deep appreciation, deep appetite for artistic content, especially accessible stuff that's like you can interact with. And
Well,
it's
I feel like it also moves sub markets, right? So say
definitely.
gaming's in a down slump, right? And I can speak from this because I remember this maybe in 2021, and at the time I was real heavy into Bitcoin mining. And for whatever reason, graphic cards then became like
Mm.
RAM. You know what I mean? Like it was
Mm-hmm.
like everybody wanted graphic cards, and it was like, oh, we need graphic cards for our Bitcoin miners. Oh, the gamers need graphic cards for their PCs to play their games faster. So
Yeah.
then you had literally this sub-market, graphic cards, and then people building out their own PCs, which now has got, or their own gaming setups, which now has gone even a step further. And I would say now our people are building out their own home lab,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
why just have a gaming setup when you can have a whole home laboratory running your own server, um, basically. So there's a lot of interesting, what would be like black swans that maybe on the surface are not recognizable to your average normie, but yet, like underneath, well, okay, gaming's trending down, gaming stocks are down, whatever, crypto's down, crypto stocks are down, but secretly they're selling graphics cards, right? Or it's pushing RAM cells, or it's pushing the
Right.
um,
Right. Gaming leads
PC.
gaming leads markets. I think that's the point you're making. It leads a lot of markets.
Yes,
It
and
used
it,
to be that hardware led gaming, but gaming actually since Doom. All right, shout out Doom. I'm gonna be at QuakeCon, by the way. Yeah, for anyone watching that is in Texas area or might want to check out the 30th anniversary of Quake. Okay, it's gonna be pretty lit. Carmack's Romero, the Adrian Carmack. Okay, they're all the main guys are there. Um, so it's anyway. I want to shout that out. That's gonna be a really awesome event, and
so
um,
if y'all are in Texas, check Jeff out at the convention coming up. Is it the 3rd and 6th
it will
of
be
August?
August the 6th to 9th in
Six
Texas.
to ninth. 6 to 9th.
Yeah. So since and Quake came after Doom, of course, that was more multiplayer oriented and all that. That's how it got boosted and as famous as it is. Doom was famous for actually being on more computers than Windows 95 when it came out. It led a computer revolution, and actually, because of John Carmack's work, um, undercut the Commodore Amiga market with a single virtuoso piece of software engineering, because CPU could handle what CPUs, regular processors, could handle what GPUs, formerly specialized graphics chips, were only really suited to do. That changed the whole scene. So a great work of art, whether it be industrial art, engineering, or more software, hardware, software, or creative, can reorient the whole landscape. And gaming has done that since the Doom and Quake era. Doom brought the PC into people's homes. Windows 95 is what came after. Quake brought networking, and frankly, probably was a huge boost for any number of networking companies and router manufacturers, because everybody wanted to have the latest and greatest to be able to multiplayer Quake, an online game, which came some number of years later when it was actually like blew up. So, yeah, gaming since that time has led the market. It's led the market, and yeah, you would think that there would be better recognition of that fact, but I think there is. I think there is actually in at the research and boardroom level, and the media, to their discredit, doesn't give that to gamers. It doesn't actually represent our market interest as a distinct interest. It treats gamers actually as a pesky afterthought in a lot of cases. Um, and to say that's rude is an understatement. It certainly is ignorant. I mean, the people that work in gaming press that are actually up there for any length of time, achieve any degree of understanding of the market they're covering, must understand the market power of the gamer demographic, right? Like gaming, gamer preferences and selections do move the economies of large and small nations in which we're a part. Okay, like it's a real market and artistic preference and cultural, distinct demographic preference and like actual culture demographic.
That would be a great question is how much of each nation's GDP is affected by the gaming industry? Because I bet there are some countries that would have some very relevant numbers where it's a good proportion of their GDP for that specific country. What do you know about studies that have been? I mean, do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh
Like
yeah, oh yeah.
geographically, like I'm sure, like some areas, that's got to be a huge
Well,
impact on on their economy.
right.
However, again, we've seen how you mentioned a lot of like faster internet, graphic. We've mentioned graphic cards, faster internet. The now having PCs in people's homes, all these kind of sub benefits, right? Sub positives that were black swans that weren't probably
No,
predicted by
nobody
the
saw John Carmack
experts.
coming. Nobody saw Doom coming. Doom just arrived. That's
And
one of
those
them.
things,
That's one of them.
so, and it seems like that's it's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece of engineering that stands the test of time. Like you have,
Yeah,
Bitcoin, or even a Van Gogh painting, or a
kind of.
Frank Lloyd Wright architectural built home.
Mm-hmm.
These are what's considered. It's not just a house, right? It's a masterpiece. When you
Yes.
look at the craftsmanship, it stands um these it doesn't even enter into the realm of slop because it's a masterpiece.
Oh,
It's just
not the same conversation at all. Yeah,
it just
it's
withstands the tests of time
yes.
and its relevance, and it will cyclically come back over and over again, hopefully never to be lost from historic public knowledge.
Yeah, that's the idea. That's the plan for sure. That's why gamers can't take for granted. See, there's this. I gotta call out my people a little bit. All right, this is not an official document from us. This is just how I feel about it. Gamers are a little. We're a little, and this is. I'm calling out my past self more so than present, being I've studied this at this point enough. We're a little too. There is a real sense of aggregate entitlement. I'm not saying every individual gamer is entitled, and there are degrees of these things, but en masse, gamers definitely have a sense of very visibly in market terms and in social media posting terms. All right, entitlement. I'm sure there are some devs that if they do see this clip, and it probably will be clipped, that are cheering on that point, and they're not wrong. They're not all wrong. Okay, that's a real thing, and it's messing us up. It's gamers are we're being undersold and underserved by a lack of appreciation of the long-term scope. Your average gamer does not get the big picture on this. Certainly not, again, in the way that I've come to understand it, and like actual academics whose work is probably a little too boring. Okay, I will agree. It's like I don't want to read all that necessarily, but people that actually study it can see that this lack of consumer consciousness and artistic awareness and a lack of understanding of like organizational principles and all this, it is impacting the market, and it is impacting our ability to obtain and support and preserve and promote, like incentivize really good like exceptional and at least decent art, okay, in gaming terms. And you just can't take that for granted. The back end of entitlement is taking shit for granted. The companies have taken us for granted. The media takes everyone for granted. Okay, and gamers, we need to wake up on this a bit. Right? We need to not just believe that we need to believe that in ourselves and our ability to actually make this happen. Okay, make the right kind of incentives and the right kind of suggestions and the right kind of personal choices in our purchasing decisions. That's crucial. Can help move this in the right direction. No amount of complaining um, on its own does it. Feedback is important, but at a certain point, feedback stops being listened to. I mean, Sony right now is kind of showing real tone deafness, very very strong tone difference to the point of potential indifference to basically millions of people. It looks like online, telling them don't get rid of physical media, don't don't end your support for collectibles essentially that come with physical media, and they're not hearing that. Um, we have to be willing to make moves beyond reacting to these bad decisions and demonstrate a little bit of leadership and self possession as people in this space, as appreciators of the art. As it is pop art. Okay, it is. These are consumables. We also have to be willing to say no or actually put our money towards good stuff. Towards alternatives. And there are indies. There are indies that do physical runs. There's companies out there right now that will take indie software and do limited run physical releases. We need to throw more attention their way, and that's just part of what we're trying to do here. There's a little more involved to get it done right. Not to just promote one or two, but there are only a handful of them, so we're really looking to promote all of them because that serves all our interest.
Well, it sounds like what you're talking about is accountability, ownership, and it's important, I feel like, that there are leaders like yourself, because it seems like it's a blind spot for the legacy industry, to bridge this gap with education, communication, legislation. I see you taking the most honorable and not an easy path. It's not the path of least resistance, but is the path of a leader who believes in their cause and is um ultimately doing the best for their team or their community, their which your team is not just a team, it is a community. I like to use the word army. Your army, you're a leader that leads with care and with thought, and who has a lot of passion and is willing to, you're in it for the to win the war. Like, there's going to be a lot of battles fought in this space, and you're not going to win them all. But it seems like you're on the right side of fighting for what's important and what you believe in. And I appreciate when people have the courage to take on a problem and try to solve it. I'm a problem solver myself, and I can relate. You said it sounds like you saw a problem. The industry's not dealing with it. There's no one regulating this. There's not really any voice in this arena that's capturing what needs to be said from the proper perspective. And I'm not saying that you speak for all gamers, but that your voice and your perspective and your expertise is valuable, and the way that you're pursuing this is a noble cause. I can tell that you care about what you're doing, and Um, Genuinely, I expect to see you succeed. I expect to see you in office, J-Dog, because I feel like you're an excellent politician, and maybe that's what it will take is one day you
Wow.
sitting in a position where you have more influence. Look,
Well,
I'm not.
I appreciate your saying that, Van. I don't ruin it by going there. But I appreciate you saying that I'm a leader in this sense because yeah, it you have to be a little weird and a little like more than a little motivated to like decide you're gonna take on this situation. Billion-dollar companies, very very well connected people, very well commercially and professionally established people are involved. There's a lot of money behind it. Not a lot of money on our side. Please go to our website. Please donate. You'll see it under the links, the last menu item. We could use it. We do not get funding from many places. We need more gamers to step up. Okay, so I will say that. Um,
We are not being paid
no,
to
no, no.
promote any of these material, any of this information. This is
We
for
I
purely educational and entertainment purposes.
yes, yes. I do want to actually I do want to shout out one of our backers because like we did get someone. This isn't a regular video, it's a stream. So I mean normally but I mean we got our first Patreon backer, so I gotta shout that out. Let me just I don't want to make sure I have their name properly here. But like yeah, like we don't get a lot of funding, and like we just got our first one lately. So and that's just an individual who's decided to donate, and it's been we've been asking for that for a little while. And it's much appreciated. So you know, I just want to say, let me just bring the information up here. I do want to say we appreciate the community stepping up on this, and I appreciate what you say, Van, like that that I'm leading on this. It is a leadership role. I I accept that, and I accept kind of the responsibility there. But you know, just to be honest, like I was, and that's I'm gonna shout out Jer. Thank you, Jer, for signing up with us. $20 a month. That comes through a lot for us. It really does. It's much appreciated. That a lot of work is put in here, and a lot more work needs to be done. So, Jer, thank you very much. I thank you for stepping up. Like this is it's not free. It's not free. We do this. We come here, but you know, it's from a position of passion and love for the art form, concern and interest in the market, and a personal stake because you know this is not going to disappear. I won't let this disappear. This is mine. I don't want the creativity to drain out of it and for everyone to be paying a subscription because somehow we have to. None of that's gonna fly, right? Like, and that's what we're here to stand for. What's good about gaming, which a lot of it is more traditional, and has more technical chops and artistic bona fides. But we're also here to push back against a lot of these trends, which are just dragging things in the wrong direction. So, you know, if I can speak up and distinguish our gamers' stance on that a little better, you know, bring Signal a little bit above some of the common discourse on it online, you know, just expecting your feedback is going to do it alone. And even though it's very many people, may not meet these companies where it may not confront them, frankly. And I don't mean that in an adverse sense. I mean that in a sense of confronting them in a realistic way, a business sense that allows them to understand that we're not just all going to roll over. All right, we're not going to, like at a carnival, we're not just going to accept we got carnied and walk away. That's not cool with us, okay, on a profound level. And enough of it's happened, and enough people have gotten swindled and hurt and had their fun, their joy robbed from them, that I'm pissed the fuck off. I've been spurred to action, enough to do this. So yeah, it's important to me, and I'll take it where it needs, where this message, where this needs to be taken, and up with who it needs to be taken up with. Um, but yeah, there aren't a lot of gamers in Congress either, so there is that. So I mean, I appreciate you looking out, fam. Thank you. Appreciate your statement.
I mean, it sounds like you're picking up some momentum with your community building and fundraising. If he was the first, then you know what? Like that is a huge accomplishment. You can only go up from there, right? Like, and I feel like my younger brother plays guitar, and back in the old days, I used to show up early, and I'd throw a 20 in his guitar case. I'd go to the bar, I'd get like five ones, a 10, and and a five, and then throw it in there. And before long, like he'd make 100, 200, $300 a night off of a little jam session. Before long, I was like, yeah, bro, just get $20 and throw it in there. But it sometimes takes someone to just push and nudge the community. And then it was like after that first dollar went in that case, other people saw that dollar in there, and then it was like momentum, right? And the community were. It's like breaking the ice. I don't know why there's like it's there's I'm sure there's a skepticism anytime any money is exchanged online at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So to receive
Should
that
be
type of support,
at
I
least a little
think
bit.
is huge, and it speaks a lot about the content and the quality of the content that you're putting out and your movement, the people that you have following and supporting you. So, man, that's huge. And yeah, I feel like absolutely you should shout him out. Um,
Yeah, yeah. Once again, Jer, appreciate you, man. We do have one other supporter. It's not in tier, but I appreciate you too. Let me just go back here, because like everybody that kicks in anything, it's super appreciated. Um, so yeah, like this is something that's takes a lot. It takes a lot of effort to on the back on in the background, basically, just to put on the stuff that people do see. So I really do. I appreciate everyone that can contribute to anything, really.
well, Jdawg, I'm gonna have to jump off of here shortly in about 3 minutes. Was there anything else that we wanted to talk about that we didn't cover this evening?
Um, well, I think we covered a lot. I think we covered a lot, man. I appreciate you sitting with me, and I got to play a little bit of the game here. This is Master of Magic. Um, it's a game that takes like all day to play, so it's probably good for it's also good for conversation in a way. As far as it goes, I think I want to just touch on the social media stuff again. Like um, that has um, that has gone that's gone downhill in some senses. And part of our effort, part of what we're trying to do, because the media like has just served gamers for some number of years in terms of communication, and I think that's the bigger thing is, in order to appreciate art properly, which requires feedback and critique and interest, authentic, not astroturf, not competing companies sending people to throw stuff at people. Okay, and to have good working markets, which again requires that you don't have serious crookedness in the marketplace and tilting. We need more peer-to-peer communication. We need more of this, Van. We need people that actually do have love and appreciation for the art and for the products, and getting a fair shake. Okay, so we could all go on and enjoy our games. That's what we need to. That's what we need. We need more of this, more peer to peer communication, and some technology that empowers that a little bit. And I think both of us are of the mindset that like we're both pro tech, but we're pro good tech, tech that helps people, empowers people, and yeah. So that's kind of what I want to leave off on is that's the direction we're looking in. It's all about gaming, but before gaming, there's the technology that empowers gaming, and we want to make sure people have the right tech and the right empowerment to move gaming back to a place where we all love.
Well, and I'd like to state that, I'm really pro tools, right? Like, and I'm learning now, and reflecting on what it was like when I was a kid and I played games and how much of a tool, right? Like gaming isn't just playing games. It
Mm-hmm.
actually serves multiple purposes. It's art, it's entertainment, but it's also therapeutic. It also has a therapeutic element to it. It has a
It can.
community element to it. There's a lot of positives that until you really get the positives of it and understanding and studying it, which is again, I agree, we just need more discourse, more conversations like this, where it may bridge the gap for some normal people. Because, like,
Normies.
even as a father, I didn't understand the community aspect of gaming for younger culture, right? How impactful it is, and what a for leaving them um, connected, which affects their health and their mental health. So
Mm-hmm.
again, absolutely can be a positive tool. So we're both yes for positive tools, for positive tool creation.
Mm-hmm.
Like my grandfather said, if you're going to make it, then it better work. Like I don't like building things twice. I don't like building things twice. If we're
Yeah.
going to do it, we're going to do it right. We're going to do it right.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. That's a great point and a good jumping off point. If you're heading out, Van, I really appreciate you coming on and we always have a good talk. So we should.
We'll talk soon. We'll talk soon again, brother.
Yes, we will. All right. You have a
All
good night,
right.
man. I'm gonna play on here. Take it easy.
Audio.
All right. So it's definitely good to have Van on. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to there's a lot to look at, but it all comes back to this. So yeah, I'm gonna play this for a bit. So this is the remake of Master of Magic, and came out a few years ago. Um, had a little bit of a rough launch, but came up massively. High points for authenticity, and this is not like a formal review. This is just offhand. Um, Master of Magic is one of my favorite 4X games, and this is a pretty solid entry. Pretty solid entry on that. Did not get a great starting location in this playout, but that's fine. I mean, oftentimes the engine seems to select because barbarians are OP for they're OP for land powers. So you often will find it puts the barbarians on an island, which is probably good for gameplay balance. But it kind of it's sucky for starting off. It definitely is. It's a sucky starting off point. So yeah, let's get some cities built here. Yeah, there's also a little roughness around where you can build cities. You have to, because they have build distance in this game. Upsides and downsides to that. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna do one city. And I think I'll make a little adjustment here. Where is that? All right. So yeah, let's get some cities built. Yeah, I don't think so. He has about a dozen more spells than I do right now, so that's probably not the best trade. Pixies are trouble. Let's see. Do I have anyone in chat? I will ask chat what to do. No chatters. Okay, well, if anyone's watching this later, next time you can advise me on what to do in a pixie situation. Yeah, typically it's only bad to accept one, so I'm gonna be on the safe side. So one of the criticisms of this has been the AI doesn't scale particularly well. It's either too easy, either too hard or easy in the beginning, or too hard or easy at the end. It's not a very consistent AI experience. That has been a criticism of this version of it. The Master of Magic, the original Master of Magic is a DOS game. It goes back to early 90s. I want to say 90, 91. May have the year off on that. Very close in that time frame. And was by Simtex. It was published by Simtex. Very very not like very original, and took a tremendous amount of influence from board games. But in computer game terms, it was pretty groundbreaking. And the AI was not also upon release. It was not. There were some strong criticisms there. But there was a patch, right? They did continue to work on it, and Master of Magic became absolutely legendary. Absolutely legendary. There's a community. There's a strong community that still plays it. They may or may not be as much into this version. There are diehards who will swear by the original one and the mods that came after. Okay, there's Caster of Magic, famously, which expanded it into more of a ground warfare game, with stronger magic also in the background. So that's kind of its own brew on this, its own take. And the original game, Master of Magic, was also like fan patched, which I probably like to play again. It's kind of graphically, it's more appealing visually in some ways. But I mean, I prefer that. At least marginally, I prefer that in pure gameplay terms. In part because, I mean, again, it's been under development by the community for 20 plus years. Refining something like that, you're just not going to do all at once. Some games come out and they're kind of gold balance, and feature sets when they're released. Some take, their community projects at a certain point in time. After a certain point in time. And Master of Magic original and the Caster of Magic take on both of those are that. They reflect a lot of durable interest. Wonderful games. Wonderful games. I've only dipped my pinky toe in on the caster side, because that has its own rule sets and unit values and everything. The original does it for me for the most part, but I have plans of getting around to that. And this is a very, as far as modern like remasters go, this is pretty strong. It's pretty strong entry in that, and I like it. It's got pretty good reviews too. There's some stuff that probably could be polished a little further, but it's a complete game, at least. That's the important point, is it is like a finished product. So that makes a tremendous difference. Actually, I think we can start building units here. Oh, I see. Right. Okay. There's a lot of building you have to do. That's kind of the formula here. All right. Now, there was more events. Not sure why I'm not getting them. I may have turned them off actually in this. I feel like I should be getting more events coming up, where it kind of asks you, you know, random stuff that happens, asks you to make decision in game, and not seen too much of that. Gotten a few, but usually I expect a few more than we're seeing. This is also the vanilla. Yeah, I know I'm getting that. This is also the vanilla version of the modern version. This one. There are mods which make it way better, but just playing it vanilla for right now, just to give kind of show it off basically how it is before I play with mods. I think we're good to go with that. So I'm just building up to where I'm gonna wind up invading everybody, as barbarians are wont to do. that's not a very good trade value. Okay. Yeah, maybe not that. Maybe not that. Yeah, this not a very good balance, but you never get a good trade with AI. That's kind of the issue. Yeah, I think I'll go for that. One thing better about the Civilization series in general is you get the opportunity to improve the land, which really in this game you're it kind of has a high fantasy like ecological theme to it, so there's no real development in the industrial sense in this game, apart from building out in the cities. So pretty much your whatever land you choose in your starting position is the only way you improve it is kind of through magical enhancement, and that just it appreciates the natural beauty, right? It enhances whatever benefits you get from the terrain. But that's kind of the limit. So the game is definitely more internal development and conquest focused. I definitely did not get a favorable landmass placement for this. Like, this is like basically the Australia of this game. So the only way I'm gonna turn tables on this is building up my berserker armies to sally forth and make war on my enemies in all directions. So that's kind of the plan. Let's see how we're doing here. Oh, this definitely should get stuff building here. Wow. Some really good spells here. What is worth trading? It's pretty close. So initially, it's not such a great trade, but long-term, excellent trade. Oh, fantastic. Alright, the city's ready. So... yeah, how much? How much can I build right now? So traditionally this genre, 4X genre, it's explore, expand, exploit, exterminate, possibly not in that order. Definitely easier to do if you're all fighting on the same landmass. But the AI, you know, this has been from gaming 101, from the earliest days of gaming. AI has been what's called AI in game has been ridiculed to degrees as not being up to the task or challenge of it's not considered by any number of people, by going back from the beginning, to be up to the challenge of actually challenging human players appropriately, right? Like it would get to the point where it would be tough to win the game, and not necessarily very difficult in the strategic sense, right? It's just like playing on some of the insane modes for first-person shooters. You know, it really varies how much of an actual challenge it offers versus just being a grind, right? So that's gotten better over the years, but AI has never been like AI. But everyone knows that, though. Oh, nice. Very favorable outcome. So, definitely worth managing your own battles. The same AI supposedly is going to play both sides if you autoplay it, but usually does not do as well for the player, in my experience. Alright, I'm gonna step away for just a moment here. Let's see, where is that? All right, so probably gonna wrap this up shortly. This is a long game, right? Like we've been streaming for almost 2 hours 30 minutes, and I'm only on turn 150. There could be anywhere on the low end to. I mean, you could beat the game much quicker, depending on how hard you play and how you start out in the game and all that. So it could be anywhere between 400 and 600 turns for an average to low average game. Typically, typically a lot of people want to finish before that. I like to long play, so it could be like 1,000 turns. But it really depends how you play it, and if you actually allow the AI to stay in, or if they're if they have a much more favorable starting position, you're going to be battling it out a lot. Stalemates are fully possible in this game. A good number of them get to that position, so it's kind of more like chess, or some other games like that. But I think this is obviously, starting on an island position. It's good and bad because it does allow a little bit of an early uninterrupted build out, or like less competitive with respect to the ground game. But the downside, of course, is the expansion is cut a lot. So the advantage there is I have some fairly high level melee units. There's also another barbarian race in the game. So like I think what Bloodud. Yeah, so well, he's orcs. Who's barbarians? Okay, so alright, that'll be Ariel. Also has barbarians. They're gonna be a little tougher because we're a little more level playing field there. But basically, this is not a quick build game for anyone familiar with this, and if you're not, this is definitely like an afternoon, evening, or day-long game, depending on again how hard you play it and what difficulty. So probably not gonna try to cheer it the whole time here. I do have some other stuff I need to do. So if you're tuning in later, appreciate you checking out our conversation and getting to see a little bit of my Master of Magic play. Probably gonna wrap it up here, and yeah, appreciate you. And once again, I'm gonna shout out Jer. Appreciate you signing up. Your support means everything to us and allows me to do what I could do. Our team. Like Van, to bring on more time and expertise, and more others that work in the background. They're not a front page on our site, but allows us all to work a little bit more effectively, have a little greater reach and impact. And it's early days. It's early days because yeah, you're not going to see us push to the front of the algo with a consumer rights, gamer rights message, but we're here. And we're serious about it, and we've got the motivation and expertise, and the gamer insight, most importantly, and the passion to make this happen. So yep, it's been good. I'm gonna finish streaming this a little bit later, either tonight or pretty soon. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. Jdawg signing out. See ya.